Shalom everybody, shalom everybody. It's your brother Leon the Servant back here with another video on this Yabless Day. Kala to the Abba. I wanted to come here and have a quick dialogue with you guys. I've seen this covered a few times over the last few weeks, and I think it's pivotal given the circumstances that we find ourselves in with the constant bombardment of life, stress, of circumstances, and in all these things, when there is an increase in stress, there's typically a decrease in cognition. When there's an increase in stress, there is a decrease in cognition, meaning that a lot of the times we get taken advantage of because people are moved in fear, and no one likes being taken advantage of. I've started to see this conversation of anti-intelligence or being an anti-intellectual, and there is a lot of different things I wanted to hit on this, just some things where I want people to marinate and think about. Now, I have not went to college myself. I have done vocational school just to have a clear standing point and platform from what we're talking of. But I do think that I am someone who takes it very serious on self-education and trying to keep up with the news, and also to keep learning new things, new skills, new abilities, new information, and being able to share and dispense that at whatever level of articulation that I desire. um, Coming from just the way that I was raised. Now, in that, I want to tackle some of my biggest concerns about the poison of being an anti-intellectual, or just not caring about the facts, not caring about what's really going on, and kind of siloing yourself to just your opinions. You know, there is this quote that is coined by Mark Twain, and I'm going to paraphrase it slightly. It's not the things that we don't know that hurts us. It is the things that we think that we know that just ain't so. And I really want to stand there and really unpack that quote, unpack that knowledge, that wisdom of understanding. And one thing is that it's normally not, when we understand that we don't know anything. So like when they say it's not rocket science, you're like, oh yeah, I don't know anything about rockets, or I'm not a rocket scientist, so maybe my 2 cents here isn't going to be, it's not going to stretch as far as it normally would. But when it comes to the capacity of so many social dynamics, political dynamics, and things of the like, there is a interesting idea that coming from an uninformed position is superior than coming from a position of due diligence. And I want to not single out, and I'm going to make this very clear throughout this entire video. I'm not singling out any person from not getting a secondary education or tertiary education or whatever. I'm more along the lines talking about the ability and the capacity to think critically is important and paramount at all times. And I see that it's something that has been targeted, is something that a lot of people do struggle with. The statistics of reading lower than the fifth grade reading level in America is alarming. The educational system is a joke, and I understand that. But it doesn't mean that we shouldn't aim to be educated, or should I say, have a scholarly understanding of the world around us to some degree. And when the world gets so busy that they got you locked in at your job, they got you locked in dealing with poverty, homelessness, hunger, and these other things, it stops you from being able to actually change the environment around you when you're living in perpetual stress, when you are constantly just going based off of how you feel, right? And it's so interesting to me that so many people have disparities in their own mental health or in the way that they perceive the world, but then when it comes to bringing healing, when it comes to bringing understanding, that's when we have this lack of enthusiasm. We have this lack of pushing back. Like there aren't many movements on getting real information, real journalism, right? It's a lot of sensationalism. And when you are always influenced by the most tantalizing, most sensational or graphic, dopamine grabbing thing, you're very easily manipulated. The facts can easily be skewed by marginalized statistics and data, right? And you start to get to the point where you can't tell or can't tailor the reality that you're living in because you're not operating based off of the facts. Give me 1 second, folks. All right, so I'm back. With that being said, this this level of let me also get this beat. All right, my apologies about that. Um, where did I leave off at? I lost a little bit of train of my thought. Forgive me, family. This is live. There is no editing and coming back. But what I will say, moving forward, is that when we start to negate facts, we start to negate research, we start to negate getting into the thickest of it, we really start to diminish all authority that we have over ourselves to be able to govern us through what's really happening, right? And when you lose the ability to govern yourself on what's really happening, then you're nothing more than just a pawn. You're nothing more than just a parakeet that's going to echo some point that actually could be detrimental. You're nothing more than just a vessel waiting to be used by someone. Because you can't make astute observations when you're not trying to get real information. Like, I don't know when it was cool to be dumb. I don't know when it was cool. Like one of my pet peeves I've always had in my life was the bliss of being foolish. You know what I'm saying? Or the bliss of ignorance. Right? Now, as a child, that's understandable. A child's not supposed to know everything. But as you are an adult and things start to affect you and curtail how you have to interact with the world, and you want to be able to see things and get things done your way, then these systems, these other um, different political games and all this other stuff becomes important because they affect your life on an everyday basis. It becomes important because other than that, you just find yourself at the bottom. You know what I'm saying? Dumb people always get taken advantage by other people who are clever. It doesn't even necessarily mean that they're smart. They could just be clever. And there's these small distinctions of being sly and manipulative and trying to propagate false narratives. You know, like the lack of trying to keep integrity in the mind, integrity in the critical thinking faculties, is a real assault on your own humanity and being able to know how to govern yourself. Everyone's worried about the government, and with due reason. There's a lot of things going on, but if you can't govern yourself, you're just waiting to let someone govern you, right? If you're not a leader, you're a follower by default, right? You're either doing what other people are doing or you're doing your own thing. That's it. There's no in between. And so many people have taken doing their own thing means that they can't learn from someone else. So many people have thought that doing their own thing means that they have to come up with something that has never been done before. And that's not necessarily the case. Sometimes doing your own thing is knowing what things you do actually stand for and stand with, and what things you don't. There's so many times that people are pigeonholed, or I would say they are restricted from who and what they truly think, because they're not even able to articulate what they truly think. And that's a problem. It's a problem when you can't express yourself. You start to have cognitive dissonance. You start to position and take on arguments that can be self-defeating. And when you start taking that, you're self-sabotaging, right? It's kind of like being a kindergarten going to college, where you have all these people who have their own agendas, they have their own rallies, they have the things that they're trying to push on, and you're just a person who's like, oh, well, my mom said this, my dad said that, but I don't know. And left to your own devices, you will be manipulated. You will be persuaded one way or another. And it is something that I really wanted to hit on, because to me, this is near and dear to me. Like, I was always told to and instructed with good intentions to be a critical thinker, with good intentions to be able to do research, to be able to debate either side, even if I didn't like one side or the other, to be able to tolerate, to know what true journalism is, and being able to see things objectively, not subjectively, and to be able to point out when subjective things are being put in, knowing how to look through things with different critical lenses. And this is something that is important, and everyone can do this, right? Quick thought experiment, right? I could take this water bottle, right, and I could put it right down in front of me, right? I could take this water bottle and I could put it to the right of me. Now, those are two different actions. I can take this water bottle and I can pour it out. That's a third new action. Now, I dare everyone to think of a completely different action out of those three. Some people might say move to the left. Some people might say put it on the ground, right? Here's something different. How about toss it out the door? And why is that important? When we have to solve problems that we don't, or that we are unfamiliar with, we have to be able to think in all different directions to be able to find out what actually will work. Sometimes the problem is coming off of a false truth. Yeah. That has a ugly, kernel of lie. Another thing that I'm really invested in is learning about investment and trading and things of that sort. And a lot of people may take on the position that they are not capable, or they're not smart enough. They're not smart enough to be able to manage their own money. But when they learn that the people who are managing their own money are not incentivized to help them, right? Then you realize that you're up to your own. Oh, and then also that most of the time they're not successful in even doing the things that they promise you on, and that you have, by using standard practices and protocols, historically you will win, right? See, I was always taught, raised in the aspect that my mind, whatever I put my mind to, is what I can do. But what happens when you put your mind in a box? What happens when you put your mind in a cage? What happens when you don't exercise your mind? What happens when you say that you have learned all that there is to learn? Or better yet, you may not say that, but your actions show that. So when was the last time you read up on what's going on geopolitically? When's the last time that you have went further in your field? When's the last time that you have learned a new skill, did a new habit? See, being anti-intellectual is not just something that deals with just words. It deals with the way that you approach life, right? Intellect or intelligence is the ability to recognize patterns. And I will also dare to add, utilize them for your own benefit. And when patterns get more complex, when we hit these cycles of humanity, or cycles in the system where some things reset, other things accelerate, intellect and the ability to execute on that becomes everything. But when you're not willing to go through the journey of becoming who you need to become to get what you want and what you deserve, and you start to hate those very same things, a lot of these things, if we're going to be honest, this comes from a bad childhood. I'm going to call it for what it is. A lot of the times it comes from not being told that you are intelligent, not being told that your brain is no different than the brain of Albert Einstein, besides a few wrinkles from reading, from thinking. A lot of us aren't told that, hey, when you was in the first, second grade, you was at genius level, but you didn't keep pouring in, or you wasn't poured into. And for that, that's unfortunate, but now it's time to take action against that. That you can learn new skills, learn new arguments, learn new stances, become more informed, so that you're not being persuaded, distracted, manipulated by the same people that you may despise. And it takes time. So when you're stressed out all the time, it's something worth thinking about. I didn't want to stay here too long. I just wanted to give some thoughts, live, direct. It doesn't have to be overly edited, just straight from the dome, on talking about being smart, being intellectual, being able to look at and see patterns. Man, if y'all haven't seen the pattern of the fear mongering that they always do around the winter about there being a lack of food, being like literally every winter since 2025, I have heard something dealing with the lack of food. Whether it's farmers, whether it's SNAP now, like we had actually 2 scares this year. Whether it was a chicken shortage, or like there's always the same energy that is cultivated, but this takes a certain level of intellectualism to detach, to be impartial, to look at things objectively. And it's one thing that I always champion. It's facts over feelings all the time, unapologetically. It doesn't mean what you feel isn't true, but not being able to constitute that and articulate that to the people around you is your own. It can only lead to your detriment, honestly. And with that, I hope that was something that was spiritually edifying, but also practical. Go read something. Go learn about something, right? Don't just stay in your bubble. Don't just stay in the only way that you know how to live, especially if you don't like the way that you're living or you don't like where you are. Sometimes it's time to broaden the horizon. With that being said, family, I'm going to get back to it with the fam bam. Get some other things ready to knock out the rest of this week. I hope you guys are blessed and highly favored, as you should be. And if not, get back in the graces of the Most High. Get back into your own graces and start to achieve and be who you know you are meant to be. And let no one sell yourself short. And don't sell yourself short. You can do what you put your mind to. It's your brother Leon the Servant, back with another video. Shalom and peace.